Alkile presents 12 rounds. Spence versus Crawford.
What's happening, everyone? And welcome to a very special edition. Spence versus Crawford. We're getting right into it. We're going to do the 12 rounds with the predictions. And I got the Off the Ropes homies with me. Georgie with Off the Ropes Boxing MMA. And my homie Julian. We're here, man. And dude, let's get right into it, man. We're going to get the takes from the homies, the Off the Ropes crew. See what they think about the hell yeah, dude. Week. And then we're going to get into Inoue versus Fulton after this, man. Nando, what's happening, man? All right, dude. Let's get into it.
Round one. Power.
All right, Georgie, what do you think, man?
This is all right. Well, what's up, guys? It's been a little while since we've got to sit down and do a live, but yeah, this is a good one. I love the 12 rounds. This is a good edition, a special edition. Crawford and Spence. Power. I mean, on paper, you see people already giving the edge to Crawford, saying size. You know, he's the bigger guy. He's fought in that 154 in amateurs. I just heard something today that, as a matter of fact, Sean Porter fought over 160 in the amateurs. So if we're going to make a comparison and saying that Crawford is fighting Spence and Spence is the bigger guy, like Crawford has fought bigger guys. So power wise, you know, the thudding power, I feel like the thudding power definitely goes to Spence, but I feel like if you look over the last 10 fights or last 8 to 10 fights, Crawford has finished his last 8 to 10 opponents. He's in championship rounds. So finish wise, I give it to Bud, but just standalone thudding power. I mean, I got to give the edge to Spence, not by much.
Okay, I hear you, brother. It's hard to go wrong. They both got power. Julian, what do you think, man?
You know, power wise, you know, it's kind of, man. You know, you see Spence, you know, we've seen what he's done to his last 3 opponents. Eyes, you know, all their eyes. Everybody's eyes have been jacked up the last 3 opponents. Power-wise, you know, I do give that slight edge, you know, to Spence, you know, on that edge, you know. But, you know, other than skill set, you know, I believe TC, you know, like that jab, you know, that power set for him, you know, he sets up his power, you know. So I just believe, you know, power-wise, Spence got it, but I think skill set, you know, we're going to go, you know, Bud.
Okay, so overall your answer is Spence?
Spence, yeah. Right.
No, I hear you, man. It's hard to break down, and it's worth noting these subtle points that you guys are making because Crawford also has respectable power. He's been the guy knocking dudes out. But in my opinion, I do think that Spence has the edge because he is the welterweight with that real strength and the power. And I do think there's something to him breaking orbital bones. I think he's a strong guy. Although when I went back and rewatched Spence versus Porter, I did notice that, I mean, he really didn't, besides that knockdown, he really didn't put him down, right? And so that gave me some pause, you know, but I went and watched that Ugas fight again, and I think that dude can grind, man. So it looks like we're all unanimous. We're going to give Spence the advantage.
Advantage Spence. Round 2. Speed.
All right, Julian, what do you think, man?
Man, let's see, man. If you're going to go power round, you know, and knockdown-wise, you know, I think, well, Bud has that engine, you know, especially in the later rounds to take you out, you know. Of course, you're going to be figuring out. That's how Bud goes. That's a Bud thing, you know. So let's say, you know, Spence, you know, on the other hand, we've seen him gas a little bit, you know, in the middle rounds, you know, to the end, you know, but I'd say edge, you know, on this one, you know, I get TC, you know, when it comes to finishing.
One for Bud Crawford. Georgie, what do you think?
Yeah, and it's right. It's the second round of speed. Okay, speed. Yeah, definitely. I have to go I got to go with TC. It's not just the hand speed, it's the footwork, it's the angles, it's the looks, the countering. I mean, you got to be a good counter puncher, or you got to have some good speed to be a good counter puncher. And that countering is not even an edge. Like it's pretty favorable for me that I feel that Bud has the better speed overall, hand and footwork.
Great considerations, man. You know, when I thought about this category, I guess I really just think about hand speed. And if I was to gauge hand speed, I would say Errol Spence. But when you talk about like fast twitch reaction, the footwork, everything else, it's overall speed. I guess you're right. I would agree with you guys. It looks like we're going to give this one to Bud.
Advantage Crawford. Round 3. Offense.
All right. Overall offense. Julian, what do you think?
Man, Arsenal. Man, this is a hard one, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Holy shit, man. I mean, when it comes to, oh my God, when it comes to them, I mean, with their boxing skill set, I mean, I feel Earl Spence can, I mean, he'll set you up with a quick jab, and then he'll also follow that up, with the overhand right, which I feel, is kind of a, 'cause that's what Porter kind of exposed to, the left hook onto Spence. So I feel too, that, when I go to TC, look at TC now, TC could get in the guard, like could pretty much down the guard, of Earl Spence, being the bigger dude. I think he could down this guard, I think just, oh man, skill set wise, bro, I just got to give it to TC, bro. Like I have to, bro. Like it's just by a hair. I mean, I can't really, oh man, you got me on that one right there, bro.
Hey, bro, you can't go wrong with Terrence Crawford giving him any advantage against anybody when you're talking in terms of overall offense. Georgie, what do you think?
This has to be probably one of the hardest ones we've done. Yeah. And I like how we're going into this one too, because usually when we do the 12 rounds, you usually give us like a week in advance to like really look over our, the categories and be able to do a little bit of homework. But like, this is what off the top of your head, what you can remember, because both guys have great offense. Both guys, I believe, have body finishes. So like that, that goes into knockouts, like, knockout, like head wise getting dropped. Both guys have it. Both guys have great combination punching. Damn it, the offense of Arsenal is tough because I think for me, like I'm gonna have to slightly favor Bud just by a little bit, only because it's more than one look, right? You're saying the offensive Arsenal, so like we know that Bud has one look. It's kind of like come forward, kind of catch and shoot. But I feel like Bud can counter, and he can come forward. So it's gonna be more bags, more tricks in the bag, and I feel like it's gonna be a slight edge to Bud just because of the counter punching or the counter fighting.
I feel you should have left that one for the 12th round.
Maybe I should reorder them too. For those who don't know, ESPN used to do this on their website, and I copied a bit of it, changed a couple of the rounds. But you're right. Maybe this should go towards the end, Julian. But we got all kinds of good stuff. But I did want to catch you guys by surprise. Like I think it's nice to kind of think off the top of your head. Plus, knowing what you guys were going to say ahead of time, it took the fun out of it for me. So it was a little bit of a selfish thing. Because I like hearing what you guys have to. Yeah, exactly, man. It's like knowing what you're going to get early. And so it's fun to hear what you guys have to say. So as far as overall offense, and Julian, just so a lot of these categories, they'll spill into each other. Like, we're talking like footwork speed or footwork, and we have footwork later, right? But with offense, I do factor in the power, right? The tenacity, right? I mean, which is also a category, right? So when you talk about something like this, dude, like to me, if you're talking, we're talking offense, right? Yeah. If we're talking offense. Yeah, dude, like I'd have to say that to me, I'd have to give the overall advantage to Spence, just in my opinion, just with his style. Like he knows that he's the guy who's coming forward. He's the guy who's stepping. Like he says, I'm going to step to Crawford. Right. So to me, I think he's the guy who's going to come in and he's going to be the guy who digs, and he's going to be the guy who knows that he has to do what he does best, which is grind, right? Just start banging, right? And not letting up and winning the front foot battle. And I think with Crawford, and that's part of his skill set. It's a bit more negotiable with Crawford. He's good at also fighting on the back foot, but he's also good like fighting at his own pace, right? And we could talk about that later too. Like he likes having his own pace, but Spence is just going to go in there and do what he does best. But I've been outvoted. It's 2-1 for Crawford.
Advantage Crawford. Round 4. Defense.
All right. Georgie, what do you think?
All right. Defense is tough. Of course, defense, the object is to hit, not get hit. We've seen both guys hurt a couple times, but I feel like we've seen Bud hurt a little more than Spence. Spence thought he got his teeth knocked out. Inuga's was just a mouthpiece. But yeah, Bud he's been buzzed a few times. He's even taken an unofficial knockdown against the Mean Machine. That just goes into defense. It's gonna be tough. That's a tough one, man. Like I said, I think this is probably one of the best 12 rounds that we've done. I mean, overall, the fight is it's pretty fucking even. It's 50-50. You really don't know who's gonna win. I think that nobody's wrong in this. So even if like the last round, Chicano, you know, like me and Julian picked Bud, you picked Spence. Like if we had a fourth guy on, I'm sure it would have been 2-2. So like just because the three of us don't see or don't agree on it doesn't mean that one of us is wrong, one of us is right. But these are tough, man. These come down to like it's tough. So defensive wise, you know, again, like I had to factor in, you know, the countering, and countering is part of defense. And not saying that Spence doesn't counter, because he does counter great, but I'm gonna have to go with, we've seen Bud hurt a few times. He makes mistakes, and that goes into defense. And I'm gonna have to slightly favor Spence in this one.
All right, we got one for Spence. Julian, you're shaking your head. What do you think, man?
You know, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to favor the same thing. I'm going to favor Spence, you know, on the defensive situation, only because yes, we have seen TC down. You know, we have seen him unofficially down. We have seen him hurt. We have seen him dazed multiple times. But at the same time, too, I mean, Spence is a come forward fighter. You know, he's going to come at you, and then he's going to throw his shit. You know, we know this already. You know, we've seen it. Like we're talking about the orbital bone things, you know, I mean, he's going to find his way around your guard. He's going to find a way around it or in it. And, you know, yeah, I mean, I favor Spence on this one, you know, and I just slightly, you know, but I do favor Spence, you know, defensively.
No, man, I hear you, and I agree with you guys. When I was putting together these clips, and I've also just watched some film in general, I am so pumped for this fight, right? I've been going back and watching the fights, and Crawford, he does, Georgie, I think you said it on an episode, like he does get hit just a little too much, right? Yeah. Sometimes he takes a shot to land a shot, which is awesome, right? I'm there to see a fight. But I feel like Spence is just a little more defensively responsible, and he can utilize his size. He's making a choice to go in there and to dig and to stay tight sometimes. Also, he's got a really good jab where he can kind of keep somebody at a distance. So I think that we should, well, I guess we all agree we're giving the overall edge to Spence in this one.
Advantage Spence. Round 5, footwork.
All right, Julian, footwork. What do you think, man?
Footwork-wise, man, I got to give it to Bud, man. I mean, I just feel he has the better footwork, you know, overall. You know, Spence does tend to get sloppy. Spence does tend to reach quite a bit, you know, in his fights, you know, when he gets lazy. You know, we've seen him when the mouthpiece got knocked out by Ugas. We've seen what Porter did to him. You know, it's just, I feel, you know, overall, I just feel Terrence, you know, Bud has that skill set, man. And I just feel he has a better footwork. You know, just faster, you know, just he knows how to use it, you know, for his angles. He knows how to set up his punches with his footwork. You know, and like I said, I just feel Earl's he's really like a come forward type dude, you know, where he'll make you fight on your back foot though. You know, but I do favor Terrence Crawford, you know, when it comes to footwork.
All right. What do you think, Georgie?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Bud as well. Just the lateral movements. He uses the ring really well. I think we're gonna really see it, especially in this fight, because he's gonna be tested. It's gonna bring out the best in both guys. You know, but I think, yeah, it's gonna bring out the best in both guys. I think that it's gonna really bring out the best and what Crawford really does in footwork wise. He's really good at setting shots up, and he switches too. So I think that's to go with, you know, along the lines of the footwork. So, and a short answer, like I'm gonna favor Bud.
I agree. Like one of the things that I noticed when watching film is just how fluid Terrence Crawford is. He's really good at just moving around and repositioning himself. Like I wouldn't say he's just a guy who moves all over the damn place, but he's really good at setting himself up to kind of go where he wants to be, to get in, to get out. He's just really, it's almost like it's just automatic. It's just muscle memory. He's so good at it that, you know, he can kind of focus on what's going on up top because his legs they do exactly what he needs his legs to do. Right. So I'm very impressed with Crawford's footwork as well.
Advantage Crawford. Round 6, ring IQ.
All right, Georgie, what do you think?
Fuck. Yeah, these are tough. God dang, man. This is why it's a 50-50 fight. Ring IQ.
Oof.
Because they both are great at setting up their offense. They're both really good at what they do. I think the only reason why I'm gonna go with Crawford is because, of course, I'm picking him to win. And I feel like that's kind of the big reason why I feel like I'm picking him to win is because of he does have the better ring IQ of the two. And that doesn't take nothing away from Spence, because Spence is smart as well. But I just think that ring IQ goes along with everything as far as offense, right? Because that's kind of what wins these fights is setting up your shots, and the ring IQ is I think what Bud has. He's good at it.
All right, Julian, what do you think, man?
No, that is true, man. I mean, ring IQ is a big thing. I think in this fight, especially, I mean, this is what's really going to help out. The winner of this fight is going to determine the winner. Who's going to have the better ring IQ. Oh man, when it comes to it, like I said, I mean, we've seen both men end these fights. And fighters, and a couple of fighters their last three opponents each of them. And when it comes to ring IQ, I slightly edge to Terrence Crawford, just only because, the fact, I just feel later down the line, I think Earl, like we said earlier, I mean, I think Earl Spence tends to fade a little bit, and like I said, against like Ugas, something like that, against a Porter, just this fight, you're not going to be able to get lazy. Like, you're not, I mean, either guy, and once you do, the other guy's going to take advantage. And, I just feel Terrence Crawford is going to have, just that small edge, over Earl Spence when it comes to ring IQ.
Yeah, man, I hear that, dude. Like, I've always thought that Terrence Crawford is an incredibly smart fighter. He's mean, but he's also a thinker. He knows when to come in. He knows when to finish, too. He's really good at knowing when to finish, when to debut certain things that he hasn't done in the fight. He'll do it later on in the fight. Man, he's really cerebral. I think Spence is really good at doing what he does, and he knows what works best for him. But if we're talking about ring IQ, and it also might be his ability to execute it, and that's why he can, right? Just because you might have all the X's and O's up here, but you can't execute it. But Crawford can execute it, right? So that's why we can sit there and go, oh shit, look at this guy, look at all the changes, look at everything that he's doing in there, right? So to me, I agree with you guys. Ring IQ, that goes to Bud Crawford.
Advantage Crawford. Round 7. Durability.
All right. Well, I put that little clip of Gamboa back in the day of durability. Was it durability?
Yeah, durability.
Yeah, durability. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. All right. So let's talk about it, Julian. Thoughts?
Who's more durable? I mean, both men. Fuck, this is another hard one, man. Who's more durable in this fight? And like I said, man, I mean, have we really seen both men like in real trouble? And it's like to both of you. I mean, have you really seen them in real trouble other than like, okay, like at the end of a round, or or a quick glance or a quick knockdown, or oh my god. But durability, son of a gun, dude.
Well, we could talk about it a little. It's up to you guys. I mean, there's no structure, man. George,
no, like I said, like durability wise, I mean, man, you gotta take into account too what Earl Spence can do. I think Earl Spence is very durable when it comes to, like hurting a fighter, and making a fighter actually think. When it comes to Bud, I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, that dude is just, when we go back to ring IQ, I mean, you talk about his ring IQ now, I mean, he's been in trouble, a lot, quite a bit in fights too, like we talked about. But durability wise, man, I don't know. I got a slightly edge Spence on that one, man. Like, just by a hair, man. I'll just say durable. Yeah, durability wise, I'll slightly Spence, man. That's a hard one. That's a hard one.
It's a good one. And Georgie, like to answer Julian's question, have you ever seen Bud in any trouble? Who do you favor in this category?
I favor Bud in this one. And durability, I wouldn't say like we've seen him like in trouble. I mean, it's boxing. Like, I mean, all the greats have taken a shot where, you know, there's like, oh, they wobbled a little bit, or they kind of small slight stumble, or you can tell like there was a difference in their look or their approach. And I think it's to kind of like shake the cobwebs, but not be obvious. So I think every guy has, and I'm gonna say they both have those moments. And I'm sure you saw it in the Sean Porter fight where Sean Porter landed some good shots on Spence. He looked like it caught his attention, and you know, Sean Porter also hit Terrence Crawford with some shots, but nothing where like it caught his attention where like you can see a difference. So I would say I've never really seen them like in trouble, but they've been hit with some clean shots. Durability, I think, is going to be questioned, especially to this fight, because you know one of the biggest questions is how is Spence. Yeah, this is 2 fights after his car accident, but his opponents, I think, was it Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia. So it wasn't like there was any threat there. They were both kind of undersized, you know. So you couldn't really tell the durability. But I mean, you got to give it to him for coming back from getting ejected out of a car after flipping a Ferrari. So he's definitely durable in that. He's definitely durable in that. But we're talking about in the ring. I think Bud definitely has the durability. He shows like grit. I mean, that's one of the categories, and I think like durability, tenacity, and grit kind of like are almost in the same category. And I feel like that's it for me. Like for Bud, like, you know, ring IQ and like the dog, and they both got dog, but that dog for me comes with the durability and Bud.
Very nice. Nando here says there has to be context. Bud's competition has been vastly inferior. Triple G looked like the greatest middleweight of all time at one point. I want to give a shout out to Boxing Vitals, and it looks like I get to be the tiebreaker, man, as far as this awesome category. Now, you know, when you're looking at durability, and like I said, I put that Gamboa clip of Gamboa clipping Bud Crawford, and Bud Crawford, he kind of a little bit of a stanky leg, right? I saw it, right? And on top of that, too, yeah, you know, and the Mean Machine fight, he did get knocked down, right? But Spence, to me, like that's the definition of a guy who's just durable at that weight class. Like, man, I think that guy could just take punches and you could just beat on that guy. And that's just my opinion. That's just how I see it. Although Bud is tough, right? And you're right, Georgie. The categories do spill into each other, you know, but there are guys, you know, who have tenacity, right? Where their durability might not do them any favors, right? And they might get knocked the fuck out. Like a guy like Berlanga who thinks he's tough shit. You know, that guy's going to get knocked out eventually, right? So he might have the tenacity, right? But the durability isn't there. You know, I think Khan was like that a little bit, but he didn't have a choice with his style, right? So he just kind of went in there and got knocked the fuck out, you know? It is what it is. But, you know, I'm going to go ahead and favor Spence in this category.
Advantage Spence. Round 8. Tenacity.
All right, Georgie, you were talking about it. Tenacity. There is a subtle difference. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just go with Bud on this one. Like I said, I feel like those are kind of what's gonna. I mean, all these 12 rounds, all these categories is what's gonna win the fight for these guys, and I think those are the big ones: the tenacity, the durability, the grit. And I feel like when it comes down to it, when it's time to really grind, and it's gonna come late. I definitely gonna believe like if someone's gonna get stopped or this fight's gonna come down to the championship rounds, and I think for me, I got to favor Bud again, man. Like these are reasons why I'm picking him to win the fight, not just because I like Bud, but like when I think of Bud and his accomplishments, and yeah, you know. I get what Nando's saying there too. Like, you know, we got to look at his competition, but he is a 3-time, you know, champion. Like he's been at 135, 140, 147. So that
he's undisputed one already. He's undisputed one already.
Undisputed one. So I mean, regardless of who the guys were in that division, like the guys that he beat had belts, right? So those guys were champions of that sanctioning. So, but I gotta go Bud on this, man, because again, like when I'm picking the fight, like those are kind of like the things that I like to see in the guy, and I feel like that's for me. I gotta go Bud on that one. Tenacity.
All right, tenacity. Okay,
Yeah.
Julian,
I'd
do you
say,
agree?
George had a point there. Yeah, and you could talk about Terrence Crawford's, because I brought it up too. I brought it up before already. I mean, we've talked about this many times, about Bud's resume, but, it just seems,
What about his
Bud,
resume?
no, I'm just saying, like, we've
Thin?
seen the
Is it
resumes.
thin?
We've seen the
No, no,
resumes.
tell
Yeah,
me.
a little thin, a little thin in my
At
book.
147, yes. At
Yes,
147,
yeah,
yes.
147, yes. But this dude, yeah, when it comes to tenacity, man, he got a slightly favored Bud, because like I said, he's been the guy, to, okay, I'm in trouble, but, but like I'm not gonna panic. I'm not here to panic, So I just feel he's just that guy, when it comes to, yes, okay, this dude did this to me, but whatever. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back 2 times harder this next round and make you see me. You can say the same thing too about Earl Spence too. We've seen him, like I said, the Porter fight, where he was in dear trouble, what 6-7 round, and then all of a sudden he came eighth, and then, that's pretty much I want him to fight, that those 2 rounds, in the later fight, but I just tenacity wise, just give it to Bud, I feel like just slightly favorite Bud.
Man, if and I do have little videos for even if it was bound to happen like this.
Advantage even.
I might have that video just for myself, man. Because you know what? I think they're both equal. And you know what? I like that we're having one win go one way or the other, right? So maybe we shouldn't be saying, "Oh, it's even," right? But damn, dude, when you're talking about tenacity, you could just see it in Terrence Crawford. I feel like with Spence, it's kind of like he's like robotic about it, just very clinical, right?
Yeah.
But with like Bud, there's like a bit of a meanness to him. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give him that advantage too.
Advantage Crawford. Round 9. Experience.
All right, experience. Julian, you were talking about the resume, man, and that has something to do with it. Please elaborate. What are your thoughts?
If you look at both resumes, you see the bigger names on Earl Spence's side. Like more named guys, on one side than you would see on Terrence Crawford's side. Everybody knows a couple Laskovic is, everybody knows, a couple other, everybody knows Sean Porter is, but both guys fought both dudes. Cal Brook, you can go on, but just feeling when it comes to, man, like the resume wise, I just feel Earl Spence has that edge, I'd say bigger, more experienced fighters, championship caliber fighters, compared to the championship caliber fighter that Bud has actually faced. We're just talking about inferior opponents right now. I just feel Earl Spence, edges that out, when it comes to experience, wise, with bigger names, but this fight could be a whole different story. We don't know yet, but I do favor Earl Spence, when it comes to, experience, with bigger guns.
Interesting. All right. And so, Georgie, when you look at experience, do you factor it the way Julian does, where you're talking about the weight class that they're in and how he's going to do in that weight class, or do you factor in overall experience? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think most boxing fans will factor in a lot of things, especially the guys they fought. And, the reason why I think a lot of people favor Spence, because the names on his resume, like those names on his resume, people are familiar with. So, like the Danny Garcia, the Ugas, we know Ugas because he beat Pacquiao, Mikey Garcia, Carlos Ocampo. I think he just had, he's had a bit of a run at 154. Lamont Peterson, Cal Brook. He fought some of these guys a little bit before Terrence Crawford has. But overall experience, I'm giving it to Bud because he's fought at more than one division. That's my experience for me, because he's fought in different champions at 3 different divisions, and to me that kind of resonates with experience rather than just kind of. I'm not saying that Earl Spence couldn't have done it, but we're gonna look at both. They both have some pretty familiar names on each other's resume, but I think Bud fighting in his third division to me gives him that edge and experience.
And the upsetting thing is, about this whole thing, is that Bud has been at 147 for 11 fucking years.
It is upsetting, bro. Like, he's older than Canelo, and people want to give him all this credit because he's a 3-belt unified champ, right? With all his belts. It's like, bro, you haven't done it. You still haven't fought anybody that we really want you to fight. You're getting us off track, man. But you know what? I could go on about that shit too, because you're right. But I could see it assessing experience both different ways. Like, I see what you guys are both talking about. So to me, like, I'm gonna have to factor it the way Julian does. When I'm talking about experience, I'm talking about experience at the welterweight level. If you're talking about overall experience, I mean, maybe that would go to Crawford as far as, like, I mean, if they were all just, I don't know, like doing fantasy levels, fights. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. But if we're talking about going into this fight, who has the most experience coming into a welterweight fight, and these guys are both full welterweights, I think you got to give it to Spence. Spence, like you said, has all those names like Ugas, Porter, and granted, he wasn't fighting Crawford, right? We wanted him to fight Crawford, but I mean, if you're gonna look at like who has the better welterweight resume, I mean, it's obviously Errol Spence. Not really Crawford's fault, but I would definitely give that advantage to Errol Spence.
Advantage Spence. Round 10, ring generalship.
All right. So, Georgie, who's going to be the ring general in this fight, man?
I'm going to need one of those even rounds for me. I'm going to need that even round for me. I'm going to need that even one on this one. I've been holding it in my back pocket, and I feel like this is probably the one I'm going to need it at. Yeah, because you know what? Both guys ring generalship, I mean, they both command what they want in that ring. You know what I mean? Like when it's Earl Spence, it might take him 2, 3 rounds, 4 rounds to get going, but once he gets going and he gets in his flow and he gets the work going, like he's with it, man. And Nando, 10-10. Hey, there's some 10-10 rounds, Nando. Come on.
That's right.
I seen it in the official rules. There is 10-10s. But yeah, it's Earl, when it's his style, the ring generalship is in his favor. Same thing with Bud. When he wants to outpoint you, he's gonna outpoint you, and then when he's ready to kill, like he goes in for the kill. Just look at the 11th round against Sean Porter. He didn't even know he was down the whole fight. I think I had it really close. I wasn't really sure who was winning that. I just know it was very competitive up until that round. But actually, the round before is when you actually see Bud start to take over. But going into that 11th round, his corner was like, "You're down." He's like, "I'm down." Like he was surprised. And literally a minute later, he goes in and goes out there. And yeah, Sean Porter may have not been 100% trained, or his dad's, he looked like he could have continued, but at the same time, like his dad did him a favor, because Bud is a killer. When he's got you hurt, like he's gonna finish you. And again, with the ring generalship, that's the reason why I've given this a 10-10 round, because when Earl's ready to do his thing, he does it, and he wears you down, bro. He saws you down like a number 2 pencil. And then when it's Bud Crawford, like he knows when it's time to get you. He knows when it's time to finish you, when he's got you hurt.
All right.
Advantage even.
All right. Thanks for giving me an excuse, Georgie. All right. Julian, when they go in the ring, who's going to do what they want to do, man?
Right now it's going to come to a point, man, because both dudes could set the tone. Doesn't matter which one. Well, either guy's could set the tone in this fight, come Saturday. But and just like George put it, you look at Terrence Crawford, he's gonna look at you, especially when he was told he was losing. He's gonna look at you and be like, I ain't gonna lose this fight, And I really doubt he's gonna be that same way this weekend too. He's not gonna go out there to lose. He's gonna go out there to get off all those damn belts. On the other hand, Earl Spence. Oh man, that dude, he could end you too. He could put you down. He could put you in that corner too and let you and have his way with you. You know, when he comes to choosing his shots, he knows how to choose his shots. Ring generalship, though, I got to give the edge to TC, man. Like I said, I've seen him, you know, like the last 3 fights I've actually rewatched of his. You know, I just feel he can, that later dog in the fight, man, is what's going to win this fight for him when it comes to ring generalship.
That's good stuff, man. I want to give a shout out to Nando Yamas, who says, "What's up, Drew? $10 on Spence." I want to give a warm shout out to Philly Irish, who's also here, and Dave from the 408. They got a show coming on in about 20 minutes. So after we're done, I hope you guys head on over because I know I'll be there, man. Can't wait to see their breakdown and their preview, man, because it's fight week, dude, and I'm pumped, dude. I'm just feeling good. It feels like fight week, dude. And this was a great warm-up. And we all got up early, and we watched the fight of Inoue versus Fulton.
We're already drinking.
Yeah, man. So we're going to get into it, dude. I'm pumped, you know. And so, Nando, JC, man, we're glad you guys are here. And when we're talking about ring generalship, I kind of mentioned earlier about how I felt like maybe Crawford is maybe more versatile, right? But I feel like Spence always goes in there and does what he's going to do. And he's going to establish front foot dominance, right? And to me, that's a big part of ring generalship. Like, it's always a negotiation. Like, a person can choose to fight on the back foot, right? But I've never seen Spence not be able to execute what he wants to do. He's always doing it. He will, with will and the tenacity, right? We talked about tenacity, push his way forward, right? Be the effective aggressor, right? And with Crawford, I feel like it takes him a little while to get going, even with fighters that he should wash. Like, it takes him a while to get going, to kind of find the angles. I mean, it's smart boxing, right? You can't really like hold it against him. He's doing what he wants to do. So I respect his overall skill set. And he's very, very, very skilled, right? But we're talking in terms of ring generalship. I mean, there have been times where Crawford really should have been banking a little bit more rounds early, in my opinion. Now, okay, now we were talking about how Crawford found out that Porter was up in the fight, allegedly, right? I don't know if that was actually the case, but when I was watching with just casual fans, right, they were more like MMA fans who, you know, watched the kind of like the big fights I would tell them about. I watched it with them, and they thought Porter was winning and doing quite well. I didn't see it that way, right? But it's not, to me, it's not like Crawford is definitively winning rounds sometimes, and I think that could be a problem early on because, like, the last thing you want to do, and we're gonna get into our overall prediction in a little bit, but you don't want to start losing rounds to Spence early, and Spence already told Bud, like, I'm stepping to you, okay? So to me, right. So Georgie, you got it even. Okay. And so Julian, you got it for Crawford, and then I have it for Spence.
But the only thing is, though, I feel that Bud could fight on his back foot, though. That's the difference.
Yes, he certainly
can fight off his back foot, and that's why I think wins it for him.
Is he better on his front foot or on his back foot?
No, when he's going backwards, that's when he's allowing everybody to come forward. That's when he's going to start countering you, and that's the best part of his game too. He's going to allow you to come forward and then boom, boom, move. I'm out. You know, I'm gonna get out. You know, reset myself.
Oh, all right. Well, in this category, we have it even.
Advantage even. Round 11, corner.
All right, corner. Who's got the better coach? Who's going to be giving the better advice in between rounds? Julian, you're up, man.
Hold on, I need a coin here. Oh my God! No, I love Bomac, man. You know, I love Bomac. I love what he does with, you know, the fighters that he has now. You know, Keyshawn Davis. You know, a couple other guys. You know, in his camp. You know, he has a lot of talent in his camp. When you talk about experienced trainers that have been at that level, you know, Derek James, man, that dude he's loaded right now, man, with talent. You know, and everybody's going to him, you know, because everybody sees something, you know. I don't know if they're following the PBC way, or I don't know if they're following, you know, Earl Spence, you know, because they see what Earl Spence is doing right now, you know, and they see that, you know, he has Jermell Charlo too, right? Correct? The Charlo
he's got Jermell, he's got Joshua, he's got all kinds of people over there.
Yes, I mean, he's loaded, man. So yeah, Ryan Garcia now. You know, I just feel corner experience-wise, I feel, you know, Derek James, you know, Earl Spence. You know, like, I just feel like there's more championship caliber there, you know, because I feel like Bomac right now only has TC right now in that seat, you know, and then when I see Earl Spence, you know, Derek James has, you know, multiple guys under his belt, you know, he has an undisputed under his belt already, you know, which is Jermell. So, I mean, I just feel Earl Spence, when it comes to corner, you know, I just feel he has that edge.
All right. Great stuff. Georgie, what do you think, man?
I mean, sometimes the fighter makes the trainer, I feel.
It does.
And not to take anything away from Bomac, because Bomac is a good trainer. He definitely has experience. Like if you guys watch the All Access, but mentions
thing when he was sitting on the thing, eating the Cheetos. I'm kidding. My bad. Dude.
Oh, what happened? Oh, the pickle.
I said you should have put the picture when Bomac was sitting right there with the bag of Cheetos.
I do.
Oh,
You know what?
That's fine.
It was hard for me to find a video because you have to have like a video that's not too wide, right? That's square up and you can show both people. It was hard finding like where I could squeeze Bomac in there, right? I had to look around for Bomac, right? That shows the love that I have for him.
It's got to be like one of those videos that changes, you know what I mean, slowly into the next one, morphs into the next video. I mean picture, but yeah, it could be that way is where like the fighter definitely makes the trainer, and Bomac has the experience too, of course. He had the amateur background. Derek James too, and I think he is a good trainer. I think he has good viewpoints. He does give good advice in the corner. He does got Keyshawn. That is funny. But accolades. We're talking about corner. Derek James, trainer of the year last year. It's going to be very interesting to see when it's time to go to Plan B. And that's why that's why we're asking who has the better corner. And I feel like the fighter makes the trainer. And it's gonna come down to who's gonna make the right adjustments, who's gonna be the second pair of eyes, the best, who's gonna be a better pair of eyes in the corner. And I think that I feel like, and no disrespect to Bomac, but I feel like Terrence he kind of does carry Bomac a little bit, and not that Bomac has that doesn't have good ideas or good training methods or getting Crawford prepared. I before this fight happens, I mean, I'm gonna favor Derek James. Just the people he's got in his corner. He got AJ coming over. He got Ryan Garcia, and you can see already the difference. Charlo, you can tell. A lot of these guys are prepared for the fights of their lives, especially Earl Spence and Charlo. And you can see, I like what I'm seeing from Jermell, like the stuff that they're working with him. You haven't really seen him really talk, and he's usually one of the talkers, but you see him just training really hard. And the same thing goes for Earl Spence. And this is going to be very interesting, man. I gotta say, like, for me, I gotta favor Derek James.
I hear you, man. I agree with you guys. Like, I do feel like it's hard for us to really assess this one because we just don't know enough about Bomac. On top of that, there are other trainers that Crawford has, right? He has multiple trainers doing things for him. With Derek James, just a one-man show, it kind of seems like he's there and he's the mind, right? With Bomac, it's just hard to say. Like, has he brought anybody else up? I mean, like you said, he's kind of got some lesser people there, right? But they're not at that Terrence Crawford level or at that big name level yet, right? And Derek James, he's trainer of the year. If you ask me, like, who would I go with if I was like sending somebody to a trainer? I'd have to go with Derek James too, man. But no offense to Bomac.
Advantage Spence.
All right, man. We're going to round 12 now. This is uncomfortably close. Okay, now it's 5-5 with one even, right? So whoever wins this last category will win 12 rounds. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to win the fight or that's going to reflect on our prediction, right? But let's get into it.
Round 12, Intangibles.
All right. You like that, man? I couldn't help myself. I decided to have a little fun with that last one. And you know what? It is a factor, right? What's going on in their personal lives is a factor. It's an intangible, if you ask me, right? And then with Bud, I really didn't know what to put, so I kind of put his busted gloves. Not that I think there's a glove gate situation going on, but you could talk about whatever you want to talk about. Georgie, you're up first, baby. What's going on, man?
Yeah, intangibles. That was really good, though. I love the slides.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people that eat up Earl Spence's outside life. The videos of him and his wife. She was chasing. Was it right? She chased him or something like that, or
she ran him over.
Oh yeah,
she ran him over.
Yeah, she ran him over. There's allegedly, he's one of those lean drinkers or whatever. He's an alcoholic. But when it's time to get ready, he gets ready. Intangible for me, this one, it's all preparation to the fight, and Earl, I mean, for me, I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna give it to Bud intangibles because he doesn't. His training camps aren't to make weight or to lose weight. It's just more like he's always stays ready. You never see him like overweight. You never hear about the outside shenanigans of him getting in trouble. And I feel like for me, man, I just, in short, that's just, I think that's where I'm going with Bud. Is just the intangibles of the outside ring stuff. You know, he's never in trouble. He's a good dad, and you know he shows up to his kids wrestling match, his son's wrestling matches. He's very involved in a lot of the community and stuff. But I gotta say Bud.
All right, man. I hear that. Julian, do you agree? Who has the intangible advantage?
No, I agree with that, man. Like I said, there's been too much things off, out of the ring for Earl Spence, from his DUI to his baby's mom's thing to his ranch, if you want to go that route, but, like I said, I never really seen Bud in trouble, man. I don't know. It's like George said. I mean, he's the people's champ. He's always having community events, with his neighborhood, like he said, he's a family man. He's always with his boys, basketball, wrestling, all that other stuff, that I've seen, on videos. So intangible wise, I mean, I'll take Bud on this round, bro. Like I said, I mean, he just knows when to prepare, and he's not really too out of focus when it comes to his outside life.
Great stuff. Dos Matadores says, "Who's the bigger fruitcake? We know who takes the cake." Pun intended. Well, finally we're getting some opinions here in the chat. Boxing Vials, welcome. He says Spence is a borracho. Well, that's the thing. And Nando here says rehab is for quitters. Well, there you go, man. Yeah, dude. When you're talking about intangibles, like there's positive. Usually like when we've done 12 rounds in the past, it's kind of like what are the good intangibles, right? Like, but with Spence, it's kind of like, well, what are the red flags that we see? I mean, to me, like, and here's the other thing too, like, okay, when I went back and watched some of their old interviews, dude, like Spence, to me, like his motor skills aren't what they used to be. Like everybody's talking about how it used to be a Southern drawl, where I've seen him with the same person who's interviewed him like years before, just speak differently. Like he's not as eloquent when he speaks. He doesn't enunciate as well as he used to. And I think that just along with getting punched in the head, like, can you imagine taking a wreck like that and just continuing to box? Like, I do think that we are not getting Spence at his prime. Although I do think that we're not getting Crawford at his prime either. He's a 35-year-old man, right? And that's not prime for a welterweight, no matter how you want to slice it. Everybody wants to act like he's not 35, but he is, right? So that's a bit of an intangible for me. So, I mean, there are some ways to look at it both ways. But if you ask me, I'd have to give it to Bud too. Like you guys said, man, he's fully disciplined. I think he's still very close to his prime. I haven't really seen a decline. I think he's got a lot of physical strength too. And on top of that too, I think that, well, neither guy has seen a fighter like the other, right? But if you're talking about like intangibles, I'd have to say like it would favor Bud. And I think that's why obviously Bud is the favorite here, So I think that I'm going to give this one to Bud Crawford as well, right? So we have a winner in our 12 rounds.
Crawford wins.
All right. That was fun, guys. Thanks for having some fun with me, man.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one right there.
Yeah, we do them for the big fights, dude. We did them for the Canelo Triple G, Canelo Bivol, and I had this voice actor, right, do that one too, just in case. So I was sitting on that just in case this fight got made, right? And I had the time to make the clips, man. So I thought we'd do it just one more time, dude. And then, but yeah, dude, really fun to break it down. It kind of gives us an idea of what we're looking at when we actually talk about the predictions, right? So that was already kind of a loose preview, but we're gonna get into it right now, man. And then Boxing Vitals here says Spence sounds like he isn't always coherent. Yeah,
not.
Man.
He's not. He really isn't.
Yeah.
Like the way he speaks, bro, is like just. Like I just feel after his accident, like he just has like a list that's hard to freaking understand.
Right, and it's not a Southern drawl.
Yeah, it's not exactly. It's not a Southern like that Texas accent, like some of these guys have, but it's not that accent. It's just
fake teeth.
It's not there. Yeah, it's just, what is he, Kanye West?
Well, yeah, who knows? I mean, that's in to get fake teeth, so he might have had fake teeth. One way or the other.
It really does like change like your speech, like when you because I had Invisalign for like a whole year, and like some of like the words that I was pronouncing were so weird. It made me feel like I was slurring, but it's just with the way the way my teeth were at one point, like it's just the pronunciation just would come off a little weird. But now I feel like I'm getting back to normal with my pronunciation. So it could be some teeth, it could be over the years of just getting punched in the head and then accident. Yeah.
Great consideration. I didn't think that. Maybe he is having to learn how to speak differently with his. Well, and big teeth are in, right? So he's got like these big teeth. That's a big thing these days. All right.
Here's that bubble gum. Here's that bubble gum thing going on.
So Nando here says, Hurricane, you can call me a slurricane. All right. And JC says, it's from Tanta Verga that Yella Beezy gave him. All right.
Oh, shit.
And that video of him kissing him on his neck.
Yeah, that's an intangible too, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. So let's take a little look at the tail of the tape here, right? We're going to get into a little bit of a preview here. All right. So it looks pretty even all across the board. We have Spence versus Crawford. Yeah. And there's a close age gap, right? 2 years difference. It looks like Crawford has a lot more fights, 39-0 versus Spence's 28-0. We both know that, we all know that they're all undefeated, right? Both of them are undefeated. The knockout ratio is pretty good for the both of them, right? Spence officially is an inch taller, while Terrence Crawford has a little bit of a 2-inch reach advantage, right? And then we know that Spence is the WBC, WBA, and IBF champion, while Bud holds the other belt, the WBO belt. All right, man. Do you guys have any thoughts when just kind of looking at the tail of the tape here? Anything stick out, or do you factor in height and reach when you're breaking down a fight? Is it important in this fight?
I would say it can be, depending on who's got the height and reach. The style of fight. Typically, just like today's earlier fight today was an example of that. Like everybody thought height and reach and size was going to matter, and it doesn't. The old saying goes back to the old school, man. Like, it doesn't matter your size. I mean, there's reasons why there's weight classes. It's not like you got a heavyweight fighting a welterweight. So on the scale, everybody's the same weight, regardless where you started and where you're at. Like, you worked your way to there. I think what stands out to me is the 5'8" and 5'9". I think Crawford might be a little bit shorter than 5'8", because it feels like, or unless Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence is closer to 5'8" than 5'9", but I don't know. I think Earl looks a little bit taller, rather than an inch.
Julian, what do you think, man?
Height and reach, like I said, don't matter. Being like in a ring, it's a little different when you're in there. It just factors how you use your boxing skill, your level of boxing, your experience in that ring. But when it comes to, into something like this, we'll find out pretty much Saturday, like if that's going to be a factor or not, because Terrence is a little bit inch shorter, correct?
Yeah.
Inch shorter. I don't think that's going to be a big factor at all. An inch doesn't really play a lot, in the fights at all. At least to me it doesn't. Not even 2 or 3 inches. We've seen Canelo do it. We've seen other guys do it too.
Yeah.
But I just feel that, like, the height factor, it's not going to matter, for Spence. I don't think so, at least, but Terrence Crawford, in my book, has this edge.
Yeah.
What about
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, it wasn't very important. I was going to say, I just had the age backwards. I thought it was Earl Spence that was the older one, and Crawford 33, but it's the other way around.
Yep. Crawford's been around for a long time, man. He was fighting during my college days, dude. And it's been nice to see him come up, and I'll be sad when he retires. But I feel like he's gonna fight for like another, I don't know, 3-4 years, and he is 35, but not every 35 is like an old 35, right? Nobody seems to be talking about him like he's super old. Like when Canelo fought Triple G and Triple G was 35, people were losing their minds, right?
Yeah.
Here, I don't know if it's because they're so close in age, but we did wait a while to get this fight. We sure did, right? We should have gotten this fight a little while ago. Yeah, dude, we've been waiting a long time. But I am pumped. To me, like that one announcer says, I feel like there's no going back. We're gonna get this fight. And I do feel, Georgie, that, I think there's a little bit more of a height difference than just 1 inch. Terrence Crawford, he seems to be a pretty good size for welterweight when I've seen him in there against Kell Brook, against Jeff Horn. Like size-wise, he lines up with those guys, right? Sometimes they're a little bit stronger looking, like bigger looking, right? Wider looking. But height-wise, and obviously he can conduct himself very well, right? But Spence just has like a big look to him. But he's been at welterweight for a really long time, man. And I think he should have moved up. That could be a disadvantage for him. He could be drained going into this fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Nando here says, but don't got no hard miles on him. Sunday ride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all preparation.
True,
it's all preparation.
Yeah,
it's all on how he takes care of himself. So, that plays a factor into it. Like if you got like a hard life outside of boxing and you're putting on 30, 40 pounds, you got to remember you're putting your body through some rigorous shit. Like you're running miles, you're running hills, you're running sprints, you're sparring, you're doing a lot of hard stuff. So just look at Mayweather. Like that's why Mayweather had longevity.
And then when you're talking about like tearing up your body, look at Virgil Ortiz. I mean, look at that. I mean, you're tearing up your body to get to a certain weight. I mean, that's something that Terrence doesn't do. Yeah. That's something that Earl Spence don't do. They know where they're at. They know where they want to be at. Instead of being forced to staying at a certain weight.
You know, that's the thing too. Like when you look at somebody like Ortiz, right? I would get frustrated and so I'd be like, "Oh man, he fainted again. They got rhabdo again." Like Errol Spence can make the weight, right? And I know one thing doesn't equal the other, right? But I mean, I don't know. Spence is a big dude and he's still doing it, right? Look at people like
he walks around at 160, bro. 170 easy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Easy.
I don't doubt it, man. All right. So the odds when they opened up were essentially even. Both fighters were at a negative 110. Right, which means you get 90 cents on the dollar if you bet against the casino. Okay, since then, yeah, the odds have gotten wider, dude. Okay, Crawford is a favorite, right? Not a 2-1 favorite, but almost quite close, almost, right? Yeah. Negative 155. Errol Spence Jr. is a plus 135. So the odds makers still think that this is a relatively close fight, right? So like we were saying in the 12 rounds, which was also a coin flip, right, on which way it could have gone. Like this fight is just such a good fight. There's a reason we've been even fight for a long time, man. They're evenly matched.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if we picked our predictions yet, but I feel like on the surface, when we talk about this fight, we're like, man, this fight should have happened. But like, there's so many factors into it. You know what I mean? Like Bud was the only one that had the WBO belt in his promotion at this time, right? The promotions weren't really working with each other, especially PBC and Top Rank. All the other belts, of course, were all held inside of PBC. If you think about it, right? He beat Ugas. He got the belt from Ugas. And then I think he had, who was the other guy he beat?
Porter.
All PBC.
Which was bullshit anyways, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it almost feels like, yeah, this fight is happening at the right time because Earl Spence just last fight was Ugas, which he got the last bout before, obviously Bud has the very last bout if you think about it, because Spence is collecting pretty much most of them. He's got 3 of the 4 belts. So like in order for this to be a unification, I don't think they would have matched up Bud against Ugas and it would have been 2 bouts to 2 bouts. So it was already in-house. It was already in-house. So it was already in the writing that Earl was gonna get all the belts on his side of the street, right? Come to my side of the street. So all the belts were on his side of the street. So he had to get what he had to get. And yeah, he did say a couple years ago, he's like, look, let me get the belt from this guy. Let me get the belt from this guy. We're gonna make it happen. And I know as boxing fans, we wanted this shit to happen a couple years ago. But I feel like it still feels like it is the right time. Earl is he's younger, but like I feel like he's been taking I don't know, he just feels like he's a little more worn down, especially at 147. That's the only division he's been at. So his body's definitely has been taking some of the damage there. But I'm pretty happy with the fight still happening. They're both undefeated. I would still consider them pretty prime. I mean, of course, Bud is more on the prime. Yeah, they're both still pretty prime. No one's taken like a devastating knockout loss. So, and we can also say that they've never made it to the 12th round, and there was ever a controversial like, oh, you know what, this guy actually beat Earl or this guy actually beat Bud. It's always been like they've both been pretty definitive in their wins.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. This fight has not been spoiled, right? I mean, when you talk about certain factors, yes, Crawford is a little older, but like you guys said, I think that he's still very close to prime, right? Or he's still in his prime. Like we haven't seen a decline, right? And then offset by that, right? Maybe Crawford is a little older, but offset by that is that Terrence Crawford fucking got damn near crushed in a car wreck, right? And he's also a substance abuser, right? But they're both still undefeated, right? And this is a hot fight, right? It has not spoiled. So damn it, I am pumped for this fight, dude. I am pumped. Right, I can't wait.
Please buy the fight, guys. I mean,
yes,
I'm buying this motherfucker. George, I'm pretty sure is buying it. I'm pretty sure you're buying it.
I'm buying it. Yeah, dude. Yes,
I'm buying this fight, bro. I'm supporting this dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey.
I don't buy them like personally a lot of fights other than the fighters that I really do care about. Really.
Yeah. Have you guys seen? Have you heard of the pbv.com or ppv.com? It's
yeah. You just go to and just all the fights are there. Right?
Yeah, so it was like they're having like the special promos like Chris Algieri and like this other guy. I kind of watched their podcast, and I guess with this, instead of trying to order it on Showtime and having to get the app like with the PBV, like you can watch it anywhere. Like you can get it obviously on your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever. You don't necessarily have to have like the Showtime app or whatever it is. But I don't know if you guys saw that. I just learned that today.
I recently saw that a couple days ago, but I thought you knew about it, so I'm saying nothing.
Interesting.
Nope.
Well, that's a heads up to me and our loyal listener group. You know, and damn it, yeah, dude, I'm gonna buy this fight too because I don't want any glitching. Right?
No.
I mean,
absolutely not.
I've got the Fire Stick, right? But it's like I can afford it right now. I'm blessed, and it's like this is a fight worth buying, man. And I'm not doing it because, well, you know, Spence said, "Oh, come on, please buy it." Like I'm doing it because this fight deserves to be purchased. Right. And I just want to be able to enjoy it without worrying about it glitching. Like that's kind of ghetto. Like if you're an adult, like if you ain't got it like that, that's one thing, right? Do what you got to do. Right. But I mean, if you got some money, man, you should support the sport. That's how I feel. Yeah. JC, you know, like I was wondering about that link too. I'm like, what is that? You know, and Boxing Vitals here says, I like the fight, but they are both horrible at promoting their fight. They are just boring guys. I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
You know, that's true.
Horrible.
But Boxing Vitals, I have a feeling that like still when you wake up, man, like I'm already feeling like it's fight week. I haven't felt like, oh, it's fight week. I can't even remember how long it's been since I've been so excited for a fight. Like I'm pumped, you know, and like my girlfriend's pumped. My dad, he's really pumped about this fight, dude. Like, and here's the thing, as far as
dad.
Exactly. And that's the other thing too. When we're talking about pay-per-view predictions, I think the Mexicans are going to show up for this fight. You know, if you just like a casual old Mexican boxing fan who's been watching like the Canelos or whoever along the way, like you kind of know who Spence is, you kind of know who Crawford is, you've been seeing them for years, right? And you've been knowing about them for years. You got the younger generation like us talking about it. I think the Mexicans are going to show up for this fight, and it's going to bump the overall pay-per-view buys on this one, man. I'm telling you. All right, so let's go with some predictions real quick just on the pay-per-view buys. Georgie, what do you think?
Over 1 million.
How many do I think is going to sell? Or am I going with the prediction?
Yeah, well, yeah, the overall sell.
All right, overall sell. Man, I really hope. I mean, Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, they showed out, and it's of course the names. You know, I feel like this has marinated, like they say, long enough. People have been asking for it. I know we've been wanting it since maybe last year, 2 years ago. We're finally getting it. And if you watch the All Access, all the interviews, the media workout, and you're really invested in the boxing, like you really love the sport, like it'll pump you up. Like it got me more excited than when I knew this fight was finally going to happen a couple months ago, and watching everything, All Access, media workouts, the interviews. It does get repetitive, like with the questions, but at the same time, like these guys are getting prepared for a fight. Finally, we're less than 5 days away. So I'm giving this the benefit of the doubt that I think it does 1.5.
Damn, very nice, Georgie. I like the optimism. Julian, you were saying 1 million, huh?
Yeah, 1.2. I say about one. I say between 1.1 and 1.3 million, maybe. Fuck. You know, I'll give it that range. You know, like I said, because if you're a real boxing fan, if you love this damn sport and you know this damn sport, I mean, you're gonna support a Twitter star, you know, and freaking IG star and freaking and Ryan Garcia, you know, and the crap show and the Mickey Mouse belt and freaking Tank. You better support a real championship fight.
For sure, man. This fight does sell itself, but you know, it could have used a little more promotion, maybe a little more spice. You know, nobody was talking shit. I was watching the Oscar De La Hoya documentary on HBO, which I recommend. Really good
Me too.
documentary, actually. Yeah, dude. And
Me too.
but I was watching the highlights of like some of his press conferences, and Fernando Vargas is talking some shit, right? And like, dude, that's how you promote a fight, right? Kind of get the bad blood going. And I understand that these guys both say, hey, we don't need to talk shit to sell this fight. We're both professionals. And hey, the other guy, he seems all right. Like, maybe we could be friends afterwards. But right now, I'm just focused on beating them. That's all cool, and I enjoy the mutual respect, but there could have been a little more heat for this. That's all right. I mean, they made their choice, right? They're both adults. That doesn't stop my excitement for it, but I mean, I do think it's going to affect the overall pay-per-view sales. Maybe we'll see a shove at the weigh-in or something. I don't know. Nando here says that fire stick goes out on a fight party, man might get jumped. I know that's right, dude.
Yep.
I'm serious, dude. And
Okay,
then Dos Matador says, saludos to the Senor Chicano. Thanks, man. My dad will appreciate that. Bet he's got the asador ready. Man, he's so pumped. He can't even help himself, bro. He's so pumped. Like, and he lives in Nebraska, so he's like 2 hours ahead of us, right? So his ass is gonna be up, and he's got all these because he lives in Nebraska, so there's all these white folks. So he's gonna have a fight party. He used to have them when he lived in California, but he's gonna get everybody together, all these white folks, and he told them, hey man, there's a really good fight. Come over and watch. And that's the thing. This is going to be an excellent fight, just in general, man. It's going to be fun to watch.
You guys are welcome to come here.
Hey, don't tease me, man. I might come on over, bro. I'm good for a pack of Modelos and the $20 for the pay-per-view support, man. So we'll see. We'll see. Nando here is a little more pessimistic. He says 500K if they lucky. Neither guy has charisma. And then Boxing Vitals here agrees, says that 800,000. Well, we'll see. My prediction is probably I would say I'm kind of with Boxing Vitals and Nando, but I think it's a good thing. I think a strong 800,000, like a strong, solid 800,000, which I think is appropriate. But if it does really well, I'll be super happy for both of them. But let's get into it, man. Let's finally get into the predictions of this excellent fight. All right, now we've got a little bit of a preview already on how things are going to go with my homies here from Off the Ropes, but let's talk about why. So, Georgie, you said you got Bud winning. Break it down for us, man. Tell us why. Tell us how you see this fight playing out.
Damn. I mean, just if you were on for the show, you got to see us. Give the prediction our 12 rounds, and I feel all my picks that I had Bud. Why I had Bud winning is pretty much the reason why I feel like he's going to win. I favor the tenacity, the grit, the ring IQ, the intangibles, the offense. I just feel like in this fight, the way I feel like it's gonna go is Bud definitely is gonna land something. I feel maybe not in the first 2 rounds, maybe third, fourth round, where it's definitely gonna get Earl's attention. He's a good counter fighter, like Julian just said. He's great at the back foot, and I feel like that's what's going to be the difference. Is we're going to see probably the best Bud, and in his other fights he's been getting hit, and it's maybe because he's making the fight a little exciting, knowing that if he trades with the guys that he's trading with, that they can't get hurt. But knowing who he has in front of him, he has an Earl Spence, a come forward fighter, a strong puncher. He's definitely not going to make no mistakes. I feel like he's going to be as perfect as he's ever been, especially for this kind of fight, because he's got to be. I think any guy that makes a mistake is the guy that's going to lose. So the guy that makes the least mistakes in this fight is going to win. And I feel like Bud is going to be the guy that's going to make the least mistakes. They're both going to hit each other because it's boxing. You're not going to block and miss every shot. You're going to land some shots, but I feel like the offense and the ring IQ is going to be like the major things. Setting up his shots, his footwork. I think the angles, the lateral movements, getting in and getting out as fast as possible. And Bud he has a great tank all the way to the end. I feel like that's going to be the another big factor is. It's going to take him to the championship rounds, and I think that's where the fight will be won, is the championship rounds. And I feel like Bud is great in the championship rounds, and I think that's where he's going to show it. And I got Bud, man. I'm excited. It's here. What did we want this a couple years ago? Yeah, sure, but on a business wise, on technicalities, I feel like it's still good. I feel like it's still good timing. Like, both guys are undefeated. No one's taken any vicious knockout losses. it's good timing. I'm happy with it. I got Bud Crawford. I'm gonna be bold, and I'm gonna say he's gonna. I feel like I feel like he can stop Earl in the 11th round. I'm gonna say Earl, 11th round stoppage.
Very nice, man. Well, I just wanted to go back to the odds makers who agree with you, George. They think this fight's going to end somewhere around the 11th, but they bank on this going to the decision. You can get the over 10.5 rounds, right? Going at the end of the 11th, you can make your money at a negative 240. But if you pick the under, plus 200, right? So the casino thinks this is going to decision either way. But Georgie, he's going out on a limb here. He's got Bud Crawford by KO. Excellent breakdown, brother. Julian, how do you have it, man?
You know, George knows this. George knows me best. I used to be a big time Earl Spence fan, big time. You know, until I actually really started watching Bud. You know, fight. You know, to start actually like really watching his fights, man. You know, studying him, studying who Bud is. You know, ring IQ. You know, like George just said, is what's going to win this fight. You know, me. I have Terrence Crawford winning this fight. You know. Yeah, I could see the championship rounds, 11th or even the 12th round TKO. I just feel the dog is more in Terrence Crawford in this fight, man. I just feel it's gonna favor him. I just think it's his time. It's his time, man. You know, we waited too long for this, and you know, it's just Bud's turn, man. It's his turn to reign supreme, you know, and be the number one pound for pound that we actually want him to be. You know, the American pound for pound number one that we need. You know, so I got Bud on this one. I got
Great
Bud.
stuff.
11 or 12th round PKO. You know, it's gonna be late though. It's gonna happen late.
All right, so you guys are both picking Bud. Are you also rooting for Bud? I mean, you're going to be hoping that he wins too.
Yeah. No, I got Bud winning. Yeah, I'm really hoping he does win this fight. You know, it's just. You know, just preparation wise, I know Bud's ready for it. I know Bud's gonna get this, man. I just feel it.
Nice, dude.
I feel it, man.
Nando here says they should have put this fight in the movie theaters. Some folks can't afford $85 to be real. Hey, that's the truth, man. Like, you know, it is kind of hefty. You know, they could have had somebody go in for like a 20 spot, right?
I think they do that here, but it just depends what theater it is.
Really? They should show it in the theater. Like, I haven't seen any previews for it, but they should show it in the theaters. And, you know, hey, man, times are tight too. Like I said, you know, no shame if you can't afford it. No shame at all, man. But if you got it like that, I think you should support, right? And then JC here is being a little pessimistic. He thinks that it's only going to have 350,000 pay-per-view buys. And then Nando here has Spence by late stoppage. The early round's going to tell the story. Bud needs to start fast. Okay, and you know, that's a great segue into my prediction.
I think the other way around. I think Earl needs to start fast if he wants to stop Bud.
Interesting. Well, see, my thing is too, like, you know, when I'm watching like their fights, right? I notice some patterns, right? Like I think that Spence is always kind of responsible, but he's the guy who's already trying to dictate what he wants to do. And you saw it really in the Porter fight, although Porter made a really good account of himself trying to negotiate, well, who's going to be the front foot guy. And that's why that fight was an excellent fight, right? I would recommend people go back and watch that if you're just looking for a fun fight. But Errol Spence, man, I'll tell you this, dude. Errol Spence, he's really good at dictating what he wants to do. If you look at that Ugas fight, he's really good at pumping that jab. He's really good at using that jab as like a probing jab, just kind of keep it in your face jab or a thudding jab, right? Conversely, I feel like Bud Crawford, I feel like he takes his time early. Like he would rather kind of dictate the things that he wants to do, right? And he's okay with the slow start, right? He's okay with gauging, okay? Now, if you watch that Kell Brook fight right now, and, you know, he probably knew it was a matter of time because Kell Brook, I mean, that was an okay fight, but we all kind of knew that Kell Brook was a little shot at the time, just my opinion, okay? But Kell Brook was doing a good job, and, you know, he was beating Bud Crawford to the punch a bit until Bud Crawford figured it out, got the timing down, and then just went in there and finished him, right? But there are times where I've seen Bud lose, you know, he loses rounds a lot, actually. Like, he loses rounds. I don't want to say, like, oh, he loses rounds all the time, but he's a guy who loses rounds, right? Like, I feel like with him, my homie Dwyer says knockouts cause amnesia, right? And like I said about that Porter fight, I feel like he did lose a handful of those fights. A handful of those rounds. I felt like that fight was relatively even until Crawford went in there and really did what he had to do, but it was like at his own pace, right? And that's what he likes. I feel like he's never had to deal with like real early adversity with the way that Spence is going to bring it to him. That's just how I feel. I feel like Crawford's really good at kind of unloading, but he's not going to be able to kind of do his like kind of like peppering jab or his crosses. Like I think that stuff's not going to really affect Errol Spence. The real mustard that Crawford has will affect Errol Spence, right? But I feel like the kind of back forth punching, kind of jab cross, kind of moving around. Like he's not going to be able to do it as comfortably as he usually does, right? I think Spence is going to have to give Bud Crawford, or excuse me, give Errol Spence something to think about, right? So I happen to think that Errol Spence is going to dictate what happens early on in that fight. And we're going to see Bud Crawford go on the back foot early. We're going to see him go on the back foot early, and he's going to do well, but I don't think he's going to be ready for that type of pressure. Like, I think he's going to have to anticipate pressure early. I think that's Spence's best chance is to bring it right away, right? And we'll see if he can answer. We'll see if he could do adjustments. Like, can he do adjustments when he's dealing with real adversity? I feel like he kind of chooses to mix it up, like, oh, go southpaw, orthodox, southpaw, orthodox. When he's in control of the fight, or it's at least even, right? And that's against lesser opposition. Okay, like I feel like with a guy like Spence, like, are you going to be able to kind of? I wouldn't call it like being cute, Like I think that he really does utilize it like in an excellent manner. I really do. But at the end of the day, I see Spence wearing down Terrence Crawford. That's just how I see it. I'm personally rooting for Bud Crawford to win this fight. I really like both fighters, but I prefer Bud Crawford. But stylistically, I've always felt like, well, it's the grit factor, and Errol Spence will implement what I call the modern Mexican style. It's aggression with ring IQ, baby, and I think that's going to make the difference in this. But I would not be surprised if I'm wrong. Okay, I'm thinking about putting down a little bit of money on this fight, but I could easily see Terrence Crawford pulling the upset, and I would be. Or well, it's not an upset. He's the favorite, but I could see Terrence Crawford winning the fight, and I would be very happy for him. So I'm happy either way. Like, I don't have a dog in the race, really, but I do think some people are underrating Spence's chances. I think that Spence is kind of like a sentiment. I think that Bud Crawford's like a little bit of like a sentimental favorite with everybody. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like he's like the more likable guy because of, like, I don't know, PBC affiliation, or Bud Crawford not getting the fight and having to wait so long. Like, I feel like he's like a sentimental favorite with everybody, except for the cult, which is backing Spence, right? But when they make their arguments as to why Spence is going to win this fight, I see a lot of that too. So, if you're like a Spence fan, you're kind of looking for somebody to kind of tell you that Spence is going to win. Right here, dude. I think Spence is going to win this fight. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah,
it's valid, man. It's like I said, we have the guys that we're picking, and it's just going to come down to just making adjustments, right? Because I mean, just like on your hand, like your prediction, you're saying that Spence is going to be able to wear down Crawford, and then Crawford's going to have to start early and pretty much will wear him down, and vice versa. So like, I feel like it's going to be who's going to, like I said, it could go either way, but I think it's going to come down to who's going to be able to make the right adjustments, right, and the less mistakes, man. And it really is truly a 50-50 fight. I agree with Nando, and I think we all agree. I think most agree that it is a 50-50 fight. It just the way we see it, I guess.
All right. So JC here says that a firefight will break out. Which round? Okay, Julian, do you see a firefight breaking out? And if so, like, when do you see that happening?
If it does, it's gonna be between 5 and 7. I think no, actually, not even that. I can't even say that. I say between 3 and 5. Those three, I think within those 3 rounds that they're going to determine what's going to happen moving forward. I think between one of those 3 rounds, we're going to see one of those rounds where both those dudes are going to throw some mean hands, bro, and it's going to make us all go crazy. So I mean, man, I'm thinking between 3 and 5, we're going to see some fireworks, man, within one of those rounds, just to see who's going to up the pace.
Georgie, what do you think, man?
I agree, man. I would say I'm gonna say 4. I'm just gonna pick one round. I think I'm gonna say round 4 is where it's gotta happen, man. That's where the
dictatorship.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it's gonna be dictated is in that round, and then moving forward, whoever executes.
Dude, I am so pumped. Like, I could go on talking about this fight. But we got to move on, man, because Pig Venus is here, and he says Inoue is number 1 pound for pound. And we're going to get into that. Does anybody have any final thoughts on this fight before we move on to what happened early this morning?
My God, Inoue is a freaking man, bro. That dude is scary, bro. He's going to be the first 3-time undisputed champ. Watch.
let's talk about it, man. This morning, dude, Inoue beat the shit out of Fulton, man. It was a one-sided beatdown, bro. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I got up right around like 5:20 something. So I got up around that time, and I made my way to the couch, and I watched from round 4 on. The homies here, the Off the Ropes boxing crew, got up early to watch this fight live. My phone was blowing up, right? They were talking about it. I'm glad you guys saw it from round 1. So Georgie, tell us how did you see this fight, man? Like, tell us what happened in the early rounds. This beatdown. Did you expect it to be so one-sided?
I tried to get up early. I got up like around the same time as you did, Chicano.
Oh, Georgie.
I know. I tried, but I know Run is in our little group chat, and he's like, "Well, I guess I don't have to watch it anymore." This is why when it's fight weekend or whatever, like I put the group chat on mute because I'm not. Julian is notorious for sometimes for ruining the outcomes for me. So I know he gets excited because I get excited too, and I just want to throw out there and be the first to be like, "Dude, did you see this? Did you see that?" But sometimes I gotta hold it, man. And yeah, I rewinded it, so I didn't like finish watching it. I rewinded. I found the walkout, and then all the way to the very end. I'm like with everybody. I just was overly impressed. This is about as perfect as a performance as you could get. Yeah, as you can get. I thought it would have been a little bit more competitive, and in the time where Fulton did do something, it was for like about 10 seconds, and then in a way still ended up winning the rest of the round. It's kind of like that. You landed your 1 shot, I'm going to land my 3 shots. So that's the way, like, in a way, took it as like if he once he felt Fulton maybe land something or get something off, like he just answered back. I was not expecting that, and it was immediate from the first round. Like in the first minute, I just knew. I was like, wow, this is gonna be a shutout, and it's definitely gonna be a stoppage. And I agree with Julian. I said it too in the group that the way he's going, he could be a 3-time. At 122, he's definitely gonna get it. 126, that division.
That's a stacked one too.
That's a very stacked division, man. You got Lee Wood, you got Alberto Lopez,
Yeah,
you got
who's fighting Gonzalez now.
Yeah, you got Robisi Ramirez is in there too, and Josh Warrington. So those are just some of the names at 126. Do those guys, have a chance of beating Inoue? No, but they do. They can make it a little more competitive, or just like how Fulton made the best come out in Inoue. Like these guys will make the best come out in Inoue in these fights. So I think people are actually looking past 122 because I think he's going to get the next 2 bouts. It's already in the books for November. I was just thoroughly impressed, man. I could definitely see him being the 3-time 126, and I think his ceiling will be maybe 130. He is 30 years old.
I'd say 135. I can get up to. Getting older, you can get up to that weight for him at least.
Maybe, yeah. 135 is
I say that's his peak. I say that's his peak.
Yeah,
he's like 5'5", something like that.
Yeah, like 5'6". Yeah, 5'6". That's what I was there, 5'6".
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I think he is 5'6". The only reason why I say his ceiling is 130 because right now he's 120. He's at 122. He's 30 years old. We haven't really. I mean, some guys could go for a while, but if it is at 135, most of the guys that are the best at that division most likely won't be at 135. So if he's gonna have to do the 135 thing, he's gonna have to do it within like a year or 2. But very impressed. I think this is literally the one in a generational type of fighter. We thought we had it in a Manny Pacquiao. Now we got it in an Inoue. We got to experience this 2 times, at least for me, 2 times in the 20 years or so that I've been watching boxing. But I'm 40, but actually paying attention for 20. So I was impressed. This was, all the excuses, all the allegations went out the window too, because he's like, look, you want me? I'll wrap my hands the way you wanted me to wrap them. I know the PED thing was one of those things, but his only complaint was he didn't mind doing it. He just didn't like waking up at 2:00 in the morning with a newborn having to draw blood. That was his only complaint about the PED thing. So of course people are going to run with it. And as a father, I agree 100%. I mean, Same with you, Julian. You know it is when you got a newborn baby. Someone's knocking at your door at 2 a.m. to draw blood. You're trying to get the most sleep as
Pissed
possible.
off, yeah.
But great performance. This is as about as perfect as a performance can be. I've never really seen anything like this, and I'm being honest. And I'm not just saying it because it happened today, but like this is very impressive. I've never really seen anything like this. He is number one, and and people say for 3 days. And yeah, though I think the winner of this Saturday is in the running for number one, and I think it's going to depend on that performance. If this goes, of course, both guys going at it, it's a split decision, whatever. I could easily put one of those guys in number two, but just the overall performance, what he did, he wasn't expected to do this. Everybody thought it was going to be a competitive fight, but anyway, winning. But he completely it made it seem like Fulton shouldn't have been in the ring with him.
Dude,
it's the truth. That's the truth, because I mean he was supposed to. He didn't want no smoke against Figueroa again. I mean, then what did he do now? He just went to go get destroyed by this dude. He got destroyed by a smaller guy, by a smaller dude than Brandon Figueroa is. That's one. With the guy probably that we thought Brandon Figueroa had more power than this dude, but look what he ended up doing to Fulton. I mean, you got to see this clinic, bro. I mean. Once I saw Fulton walk out, bro, I was like, this dude ain't doing it. He's not gonna do it.
Okay. So Julian, you saw it from the beginning?
Yeah. I was up at 4 a.m, bro.
Okay, so there's this idea that like Fulton was fighting scared. That like people are saying that he didn't look about it, and it was kind of evident.
He didn't. No, he didn't. You saw it when he came out, bro. His freaking facial expression was like, shit, I'm in enemy territory. That's literally what his facial expression showed, bro. Like, that's what I thought, at least. And that's what I felt this morning watching. Like, this dude is not ready for this. He is not. And then once that opening bell came in, different story. Like, it's like he forgot how to box. Like, he was in the pocket. He was in range the whole fight. But he was not pulling the trigger. Yeah. He did not pull the trigger, But, I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, Inoue was throwing everything at this damn dude. Different angles, the body attack was great. I mean, that's another thing, too, that kind of wanted for him, too, was the body attack is what set it up for him. The jab, his jab was beautiful. I mean, Fulton was supposed to be landing the better jabs today. But no, the smaller dude in Inoue, he kind of put that into perspective today and say, you know what, I'm going to let my jab do the talking, and I'm going to let it set up top to bottom. And that's what he did. He changed levels from freaking body to the face, just jabbing wise. And that's how he beat this man. Dude, that's exactly how he beat this dude. I mean, it
was kind of creepy to me.
Changing other levels. Yeah, it was.
What was creepy to me was like how fast he was. And even after the fight was done, like I'm like, this guy's on fast forward. Even at the end of like the post fight, like he's talking, like his movement, everything just seems so fast. I'm like,
rounds again.
I was like, what the fuck? This guy is like super fast. Like I'm watching this guy on fast forward. He and Fulton's fast. Like I mean, I don't know. It should have been a way more competitive fight. Like he's supposed to be the one that everything that Inoue did, like these were reasons why they thought Fulton was going to make this competitive, but he completely took it away from round one. Yeah, he may have walked out scared, but once the bell rings, like he knew immediately he was in trouble. Once he saw how fast and how quick Inoue's reactions were. So people were like, oh, why didn't he throw more punches? He did not want to. He knew exactly what was coming. He could have bit down on his mouthpiece. He could have bit down on his mouthpiece and try, coming forward. But Inoue's footwork, his distance, everything was just, man, it was just on point.
It was just, dude, like marvelous is the one word that came to mind for me. Like I was just so impressed. And like you said, Georgie, like it's almost like you're looking at a Pacquiao where it's like, dude, who is this guy, man? He's coming out.
It was like a training video. It looked like a training video, bro. Like, dude, this is what you do to beat somebody.
Yeah, this is how you are. Yeah, exactly. This is how you are a superior fighter. Do it like this, right? He just fucking mauled Fulton, man. And
right.
Dude, it was just a one-sided beatdown. And I also have a number one pound for pound. I was kind of sleeping on him only because I don't pay attention to the lower weight classes all that much, right? And so it took him a while for him to get on my radar, right? So he's finally on my radar, and I'm freaking impressed. I want to give a shout out to Haplotype who's in the house. Nano here says, Inoue is just special, reminiscent of Pacquiao versus Barrera. Dude, that's what I think we're looking at as far as like the lower weight classes. Like,
yeah,
dude, if the timing's right, he might be able to go and maybe go up to 135 possibly. Like, I mean, I could see him maybe beating some of those guys at 130 pounds, right? I mean, he seems to have this power, and especially like if he's just a naturally bigger guy and he's been cutting weight, like, you know, sometimes people can climb those weight classes at the right time, at the right age, right? It could just be perfectly aligned for him. I am so impressed with this guy. Like, to me, he's worth getting up and watching. Like, next time I will get up and watch him. Especially, well, I don't know if it's like who's that other guy who's a unified champ, some Filipino guy, right?
Yeah, it's not Mark Sai. What the hell's his name?
Yeah, not Mike Sayo.
No, I saw because he was at the fight too.
Marlon Tapales.
Yeah, Takala, that dude.
Tapales.
Yeah, that dude right there.
He's the guy that beat MJ.
Yeah, he's the one that, because they had both ring. He had both of his belts in the ring too at the end of the fight too. So they're gonna dance, bro.
I'm down for it, man. And I just might get up early and watch that one again, man. But yeah, dude, I just wanted to make sure we set aside a little bit of time just to salute this guy, man. I am super impressed with him. Like, he's so good for the sport. I'm happy for the Japanese people. Yeah, dude.
He's the number one pound for pound right now.
He's the goods, dude. So I mean, let's enjoy him while we can, man. Like, it's awesome to watch the ascent of somebody. And I think he's going to be
all these Japanese players, right? All these Japanese people. We have Shineo Otani for baseball. I mean, you have all these other damn dudes. I mean, then you have Inoue now. Like, come on, man.
Really? I didn't know they had it going on like that.
All these Japanese players and athletes, man, they're coming out right now too, man. So be careful. Be careful,
man.
Hey,
man. Well, you know, they're a people of discipline. You know what I'm saying? And
they are.
Yeah, man, a lot to like about that culture, dude. So I'm happy for them and their people. And Nando here says Tapales was in the ring after the fight with the 2 belts. That's going to happen this year too. They announced it. Well, hey, man, that's great.
November, December.
Yeah. Well, hey, brothers, we've been on here for about an hour and a half. Let's wrap it up. I want to give a warm thank you to everybody who showed up. I want you to enjoy the fight this weekend, right? And I don't know about you all, but I'm headed over to the Shoe Shine to see what they got going on. Georgie, thank you so much for joining us. Julian, awesome to have you as always, man. And this is the Chile crew. Kind of like, you know, I just kind of got the off the ropes guys, really. They're the off the ropes crew with me, right? But we're all homies, you know, and so everybody have a great week. We are out of here. Peace.
And you're on, gentlemen.